The cold metal walls of the prison cell pressed against Jaewon's weary body. Kepler 387 was not just a prison, but a nightmare carved into the heart of a lifeless rock floating in the vast emptiness of space. 3 years had passed since his capture, 3 years of endless silence and crushing despair. Jaewon remembered the day everything changed. He had been a respected diplomat, someone who believed in truth and justice. His mistake was simple yet profound. He discovered a network of corruption within his government that reached the highest levels of leadership. Documents, recordings, hidden communications, all proof of a system rotten to its core. The moment he tried to expose the truth, they silenced him. No trial, no real hearing, just a swift judgment and transportation to this remote prison where hope came to die. His cell was a small rectangle of grey metal, with a single narrow window that showed nothing but the endless darkness of the surrounding rocky landscape. Each day followed the same brutal routine. A small food dispenser would release a bland nutrient paste twice daily. The walls monitored his every movement. No privacy, no comfort, no human contact, just silence and the constant hum of mechanical systems keeping him alive. Jaewon's body had changed. Once a proud diplomat with carefully maintained appearance, he now looked like a shadow of his former self. His skin had grown pale from lack of sunlight, muscles weakened from years of minimal movement. The prison's design was calculated, not to kill, but to break the spirit completely. He would spend hours thinking about his family, his elderly parents who never knew what happened to him, his younger sister who would be wondering why he disappeared, the political allies who were likely silenced or threatened into forgetting his existence. The cell had no books, no entertainment, no connection to the outside world. Just walls, a small sleeping platform, and the constant reminder of his complete isolation. Some prisoners went mad in such conditions. Jaewon fought to maintain his sanity by creating complex mental games, reconstructing memories, and imagining scenarios of escape. At night, when the artificial lighting dimmed, he would press his hand against the cold wall and imagine freedom. He would dream of open skies, of conversations, of the simple joy of walking without chains. But these were just dreams in a place designed to crush all hope. The prison guards were machines, literal robotic units programmed to maintain order. They moved with precise, emotionless efficiency. No conversation, no human interaction, just cold, calculated surveillance. Jaewon had not spoken to another living being in months. Sometimes he would create stories in his mind, stories of rescue, of justice, of someone discovering the truth about his imprisonment. But these were just fantasies. In this remote prison, on this forgotten planet, no one knew he existed. No one was coming to help him. Little did Jaewon know that thousands of light years away, a group of humans were about to change everything. They had discovered his story. They had tracked his case. And they were preparing a rescue that would shock the entire galactic community. His fingers traced a small mark he had been making on the wall, a daily reminder of his existence, a silent protest against a system that wanted to erase him completely. Each small line represented a day of survival, a day of resistance. The cell remained silent, the machines hummed, the darkness continued. But hope sometimes arrives in the most unexpected moments, and for Jaewon, that moment was closer than he could ever imagine. The small research vessel drifted through the darkness of space, its exterior painted in a muted grey that made it almost invisible against the starry background. Inside, a team of 4 humans moved with quiet precision, each focused on their specific task. Hee-jin sat in the pilot's seat, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approach to Kepler 387. She wasn't a military operative, nor was she a government agent. She was something different, a person driven by a sense of justice that went beyond conventional boundaries. Sung-ho, the team's technology expert, worked silently beside her. His fingers moved quickly across multiple screens, breaking through layers of security systems that were supposed to be unbreakable. His screen flickered with lines of code, each sequence a calculated attempt to penetrate the prison's defenses. "We're getting close," Sung-ho whispered, his voice barely audible. The ship's design was unique. It looked like a standard research vessel, something that would not raise immediate suspicion. No weapons were visible, no aggressive markings, just a simple craft that seemed to be on a routine scientific mission. Ji-un, the mission strategist, reviewed the final details of their plan. She had spent months gathering information about Jae-won's imprisonment. While others saw a hopeless situation, she saw an opportunity to challenge a system of injustice. Min-ki, their communications expert, monitored potential communication channels. His job was to ensure they remained undetected, creating digital ghosts that would confuse any. Tracking systems. The prison planet grew larger on their screens. Kepler 387 was not just a place of imprisonment, but a symbol of a bureaucratic system that believed in silencing inconvenient truths. Rocky, barren, with minimal atmosphere, it was designed to be impossible to escape from. Ye-jin knew the risks. This was not an official mission. No government supported their action. They were acting on pure personal conviction, a belief that individual freedom was worth fighting for, regardless of the consequences. Sung-ho's system began its first penetration of the prison's security network. Layers of encryption fell away, not through brute force but through clever manipulation. He was creating digital pathways that would look like normal system checks to the prison's automated defenses. "We're in," he said quietly, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. The team had prepared for years. Each of them had a personal reason for this mission. Hae-jin had lost a colleague to a similar system of political suppression. Sung-ho believed in technological resistance. Ji-un saw this as a moral imperative. Min-ki wanted to prove that communication could be a weapon of liberation. Their ship moved closer. No alarms triggered, no warning signals appeared. They were becoming a ghost in the system, moving with a precision that defied conventional understanding. Inside the prison, robotic guards continued their monotonous patrol, unaware that their most sophisticated security systems were being dismantled. Line by line, algorithm by algorithm, Hae-jin's hand slightly trembled, the only sign of the immense tension she felt. This was more than a rescue mission. This was a statement. A challenge to a system that believed it was untouchable. Sung-ho's screens showed multiple system infiltrations. Security cameras were being looped, communication channels were being redirected, access points were being prepared, all without raising a single alert. "Target located," Min-ki said softly, pointing to a specific cell location on their map. The team exchanged a look. No words were needed. They understood the weight of what they were about to do. A rescue that could potentially change everything they knew about interstellar politics and individual rights. The ship continued its approach, silent, precise, unexpected. Jae-won, sitting in his cell, had no idea that his world was about to change forever. The infiltration began with absolute silence. Sung-ho's fingers moved across specialized digital interfaces, creating invisible pathways through the prison's security systems. Each touch was calculated, each movement precise. The prison's automated defenses, designed to be impenetrable, started experiencing microscopic disruptions that went unnoticed. Hae-jin wore a specialized suit that could manipulate electronic signatures. Her suit made her body appear as a standard maintenance signal to the prison's robotic surveillance systems. She moved like a digital ghost, her movements synchronized. With the prison's background noise, the first layer of security fell without a single alarm. Robotic guards continued their programmed routes, completely unaware that their primary systems were being systematically dismantled from within. Ji-un monitored external communication channels. She created digital decoys, false signals that would distract any potential backup or emergency response systems. Her work was like creating invisible walls, redirecting potential threats before they could even form. Min-ki's advanced communication jammers began blocking all outgoing signals. The prison would slowly become a communication dead zone, isolated from any potential external support or warning systems. Inside the control room, holographic displays showed nothing unusual. Green indicators continued to blink, suggesting complete operational stability. But beneath this calm surface, a complex infiltration was unfolding. Sung-ho introduced a series of cascading algorithm disruptions. Security protocols that would normally take hours to bypass were being systematically weakened. He wasn't breaking through. He was carefully redesigning the system's understanding of its own security. Hye-jin reached the first physical security checkpoint. A massive reinforced door stood between her and deeper prison sections. Traditional methods would require explosives or extensive cutting tools. But she used something different. A small device, no larger than a credit card, was placed against the door's electronic lock. Within seconds, the lock's internal system began interpreting her access code as a high-priority maintenance request. The door silently slid open. The prison's design was brutal in its efficiency. Multiple reinforced sections, automated defense mechanisms, constant surveillance. But the human team had spent months studying every possible vulnerability. Ji-eun's research had revealed critical weaknesses. She knew exactly which digital pathways to exploit, which communication protocols could be manipulated. Her preparation was turning what seemed impossible into a carefully executed plan. Robotic guards began experiencing subtle glitches, their movement patterns slightly altered, their tracking systems momentarily confused. These changes were so minimal that no central system would immediately recognize them as a coordinated attack. Min-ki continued creating complex communication noise. To any external monitoring system, the prison looked like it was experiencing standard technical maintenance. No alerts, no warnings, just seemingly routine digital activity. Sung-ho's most brilliant move was creating digital shadows, fake system logs that would show everything was normal while their actual infiltration continued undetected. He was essentially creating a parallel digital reality within the prison's systems. Hye-jin moved deeper into the prison complex. Each step was calculated, each movement synchronized with the rhythm of the prison's automated systems. She was becoming part of the machine's own heartbeat. The team's technology was years beyond what the prison's designers had anticipated. They weren't using brute force or traditional hacking methods. They were rewriting the very logic of the system's understanding of security. Slowly, methodically, the infiltration continued. What should have been an impossible mission was becoming a precise, almost elegant digital dance of manipulation and strategic intervention. Jae-won, still in his cell, had no idea that his rescue was unfolding with a complexity and precision that would later become legendary in interstellar communication circles. The infiltration was not just a mission. It was a statement about human capability, about the power of technology when combined with unwavering human determination, and it was just beginning. The cell door hummed softly before sliding open. Jae-won didn't move at first, believing it was another hallucination born from years of isolation. Hye-jin stood in the doorway, her suit reflecting the dim prison lighting. She looked nothing like the rescue stories Jae-won had imagined. No military uniform, no dramatic weapon, just a calm human with determined eyes. "Jae-won?" she whispered. He stared, uncertain whether this was real. His body had become so weak from years of imprisonment that movement seemed impossible. Muscles had atrophied. Hope had long abandoned him. Sung-ho's voice came through a small communication device. "We have exactly 17 minutes before the prison's backup systems detect our infiltration." Hye-jin approached slowly, understanding the psychological shock of sudden freedom. She carried a specialized medical injector designed to rapidly restore muscle function and combat years of physical deterioration. "Can you stand?" she asked simply. Jae-won's first attempt to move resulted in collapse. His body had forgotten how to support itself. But Hye-jin was prepared. She had specialized equipment, a lightweight exo-support frame that could help him move quickly. The rescue wasn't just physical. It was a complex dance of technological precision and human determination. Every second counted. Every movement was calculated. Ji-eun's voice crackled through the communication system. "Security systems are temporarily suppressed, but we have a narrow window." Sung-ho continued manipulating the prison's digital infrastructure. He was creating false trails, redirecting potential tracking signals, making their escape look like a standard maintenance procedure. Min-ki monitored external communication channels, Any hint of their true mission could compromise everything. They had prepared for months. Ye-Jin helped Jae-won into the exo support frame. It was lightweight, almost invisible, designed to support his weakened body while allowing rapid movement. The frame would help him walk, run if necessary. "Why are you helping me?" Jae-won asked, his voice rough from years of disuse. "Because no one should be imprisoned for telling the truth," Ye-Jin responded simply. The rescue team moved with practiced efficiency. They weren't just rescuing a prisoner, they were challenging an entire system of political suppression, Sung-ho's digital. Manipulation continued. Prison security systems showed nothing unusual, just standard operational procedures. Robotic guards continued their programmed routes, completely unaware of the ongoing rescue. They moved through multiple security checkpoints. Each area was a potential trap, each corridor a potential point of detection. But the team's preparation was meticulous. Jae-won realized these weren't typical rescuers. They moved like a single coordinated organism. No wasted movements, no unnecessary risks. Pure calculated precision. The exo support frame helped him move faster than he thought possible. His body, which had been confined for years, was slowly remembering how to function. "We're approaching extraction point," Min-ki announced. The prison's stark corridors gave way to a maintenance tunnel. Designed for robotic repairs, it provided the perfect escape route. Unmonitored, rarely used, Ye-Jin's communication device showed their escape ship was preparing for immediate departure. No fancy landing, no dramatic rescue sequence, just pure, efficient extraction. Jae-won felt something he had forgotten: hope. Not just personal hope, but a deeper understanding that systems of oppression could be challenged. In 17 precise minutes, they reached the extraction point. Their ship waited, looking like a standard research vessel. Nothing extraordinary, nothing that would raise suspicion. As they boarded, Jae-won looked back at the prison. A place that had been his entire world for 3 years was now just a fading memory. "Welcome home," Ye-Jin said simply. The ship's engines hummed to life, carrying with it a message far louder than any political statement. Individual freedom was worth fighting for. The small research vessel moved silently through the vast darkness of space. Jae-won sat quietly, still processing his rescue. His body, slowly recovering through advanced medical treatments, felt strange, like a forgotten instrument suddenly tuned back to life. Ye-Jin watched him carefully. She understood that rescue was more than physical extraction. It was about rebuilding a broken spirit. "Tell me about your work," she said softly. Jae-won's story unfolded slowly. He had been a mid-level diplomat who discovered massive corruption within his government's bureaucratic system. Financial manipulations, illegal resource trades, systematic oppression of minority populations. His evidence could potentially destroy entire political structures. Sung-ho began analyzing the digital files Jae-won had managed to preserve. Each document was a potential weapon against a corrupt system. Years of meticulous record-keeping could now become a catalyst for significant change. "They wanted to silence me," Jae-won explained. "Not just imprison me, but completely erase my existence." The human team understood this language of suppression all too well. Each of them had their own stories of fighting against systems designed to crush individual voices. Ji-eun started preparing a comprehensive strategy. How could Jae-won's information be presented? How could they protect him while exposing the key truth? The documentation needed careful handling. Min-ki's communication systems began creating secure transmission channels. They would need to leak information strategically, protecting Jae-won while ensuring the truth reached the right audiences. The ship itself was a marvel of technological design. Looking like a standard research vessel, it could transform its digital signature, making tracking impossible. Each system was designed with multiple layers of protection. Jae-won realized these humans were different from any species he had encountered. They weren't motivated by personal gain or political advantage. They were driven by something more profound, a belief in individual freedom. "Why did you rescue me?" he asked Ye-Jin directly. Her response was simple. "Because truth matters. Because No system should silence someone for speaking honestly. Sung Ho's analysis revealed the depth of the corruption J1 had discovered. Financial trails that crossed multiple star systems. Political manipulations that had oppressed entire planetary populations. Each document was a potential explosive. Revelation. The transformation was happening on multiple levels. J1 was physically recovering. His documentation was being prepared for strategic release. And a larger narrative was taking shape, one of resistance against systematic oppression. Ji-yoon explained their plan. They would release information in controlled stages, some through official diplomatic channels, some through independent media. Networks, some through encrypted digital platforms that could not be easily traced. "We're giving you a chance to complete what you started," she told him. J1 felt something he had almost forgotten: hope. Not just personal hope, but a collective hope that systems could change, that individual voices could matter. The medical treatments continued. His body grew stronger. His mind, which had been confined for years, started expanding again. He was learning about his rescuers, understanding their motivations. Each human team member had a story. Hye-jin had lost colleagues to political persecution. Sung Ho believed in technological transparency. Ji-eun saw information as the most powerful weapon against oppression. Min-ki understood how communication could transform societies. Their ship became a mobile headquarters of resistance. Advanced communication systems, secure medical facilities, digital protection mechanisms that made traditional tracking impossible. J1's documentation wasn't just information, it was a potential revolution, proof of systematic corruption that could reshape entire political structures across multiple star systems. "We will help you," Hye-jin said, "but the final choice is yours." The transformation was complete, from a forgotten prisoner to a potential catalyst of change, from isolation to a network of support, from silence to the possibility of truth. Space continued its silent, endless journey, and within this small vessel a new story was just beginning.